this is, in my opinion, one of the easiest ways to make money in 2023. There's a lot of untapped potential with this agency model, and what I think is really cool is that it's super cheap, and there's not a huge learning curve when it comes to trying to build a cold email marketing agency. So here's how it works. A cold email marketing agency is just someone that is generating leads for another business using direct outreach. Now you can use whatever channel that you want. You can use cold email or Facebook messages or LinkedIn messages or cold calling, whatever it is. You're just trying to reach out to their prospects directly. I personally have 10 different strategies that I use when doing direct outreach. And what's great about it is that there is not a lot of cost involved, so you can close deals for super cheap. So what we're doing is something called direct response marketing. That is when we are trying to get our prospects to respond directly to our offer that we're pitching to them. And cold outreach is the highest form of that, because we're trying to take somebody that has no clue who we are and trying to turn them into a paying client within a few days using these strategies. And it seems tough, but it's really actually not that hard to do. And I'm going to explain the entire process in this video. So step number one is that you need to know how to create a cold outreach message that gets people interested in your offer. I've made a whole hour-long video on YouTube on how to do this, and so if you're interested in that, you can go watch that video. Now, once you know how to create your cold outreach message, it's time to pick a niche. Now, what you don't want to do is do what everybody else is doing, and I say that in all my videos, but if you're being ununique, then there's no reason someone's going to pick you over the next guy. And so everyone right now is targeting like marketing agencies, but there is so much opportunity outside of that nobody's tapping into, and I guarantee that. So these direct outreach strategies work for anything in the B2B space. So B2B is business to business. So if there is a business that is targeting other businesses, then all these strategies will work for those industries. So you can go after graphic designers, law firms, recruiting agencies, and even just local businesses. So one of my first B2B clients in this space, the direct outreach clients, was actually a roofing company, and I helped the roofing company get more connections with solar companies. And so the roofing company wanted these connections with solar companies because when a solar company would sell a solar roof, they needed to fix the roof first before they could put the solar roof on. And so they needed a roofing company to actually come in and fix the roof. And that roofing company wanted to be the preferred partner for all the solar companies in the local area. And so what we would do is we would send about 200 messages a day for like 3 months straight, and just saying, hey, I just want to see if you needed help with doing a roofing job. If you have any projects that you're working on right now, if you closed any deals recently that you need a roof done really quickly so that you can put your solar roof on. And so that was my first campaign, and it worked really, really well. And so that's just an untapped market that no one's really tapping into. And so you have a whole bunch of local businesses, like even a restaurant can be considered a B2B business, right? They have event venue space, and even they can do catering, so catering to another business. I have another client that did cleaning companies, and they would help cleaning companies get more commercial jobs by doing direct outreach. So they would direct outreach to law firms and movie theaters and hotels and just any office space in the area and say, hey, I can help you with cleaning your office, right? And so they took on cleaning clients or cleaning companies as clients, and they would help the cleaning companies get more customers through direct outreach. So a whole bunch of untapped markets in the space. So you need to pick a niche that no one else is really targeting. And then once you pick a niche, you need to know what that niche's problems are and what they want more of. And so once you know what their problems are, what they want more of, you can create your cold outreach message for that specific industry. And the best way that you can find what their problems are is really just calling them and asking them. You act like a student, and then you say, hey, I'm writing a report. I need to know for these certain businesses, what are your daily frustrations? And then what do you want more of? And then they'll tell you what their daily frustrations are and what they want more of. And so for me, when I started, I helped pest control companies, and they said they wanted more bedbug heat treatments, and they don't want to rely on word of mouth. And so that was their frustrations, and that was what they wanted more of. And so I could create my message around that offer. Now you need to find where this audience hangs out. So do they use LinkedIn? Do they use Facebook? Where are their eyes? Where is their attention at? So if you're targeting online coaches, they're probably using Facebook groups, and they're probably on LinkedIn. If you're targeting a plumber, they're probably not on those things. They're probably using their phone and calling their customers directly. And so if you're targeting a plumber, you want to do like SMS, you want to do cold calling, you want to do voicemail drops. But if you're targeting an online coach, you might want to do Facebook groups and LinkedIn messages and email. So you need to understand where their attention is at and then go there. And then you need to just start reaching out to these prospects and just reach out as much as you can every single day. So honestly, in my opinion, you should be aiming for 1,000 messages being sent out per day, because think about this. The average, what everybody else is doing, is maybe about 100 messages per day trying to get their first client. And so you're not going to get anywhere doing the average, because honestly, the average is nothing. So if you want to be above average, you just have to do above average. So if everyone's doing 100, just do 10x, do 1,000, right? And so you will get much farther if you're doing 1,000 per day. So I recommend that you try to do whatever you can 1,000 times per day. And the way that you can do this is by automating the messages that you're sending out. And so instead of doing 1,000 cold calls, why don't you send 1,000 voicemails? And so it'll send a voicemail to 1,000 people, and then when they're interested, they'll call you back. And so then you can pick up the calls of the people that are actually interested. Right? There's something you can do. Or Facebook messages. Why don't you just, instead of doing one-by-one Facebook messages, you can automate that. You can automate LinkedIn messages. You can automate emails. And so you want to automate as much as you can so that you can send out as many messages as you can. Then if you're sending out thousands of messages and you're sending a good offer because you know what your audience wants, then you should be able to easily get plenty of sales calls and booked deals in the door through these strategies. Let's talk about the pricing model. There is 3 different ways that you can do this. Number 1 is just a pay per close or pay per call model. And so basically, they only pay you when a lead comes in, when you get them a booked sales call or when they close a deal. So for them, this makes the most sense because it removes a lot of risk. So they'd only have to pay you when you actually get results for them. And so now I do recommend kind of going down this model, but I also recommend always getting a setup fee. So always, even if it's just $100, try to get something out of them, because all the clients that I've worked with in the past that have never paid me anything up front and they only wanted to do a pay per call, like, hey, look, I'll pay you $100 per call that you bring us, but I don't want to pay anything up front. Every single time I've worked with a client like that, it never worked out. I would do all this work, try to give them calls, and then they would just ghost me. They would leave. And so there was no commitment on their end. So you need to have some sort of commitment on their end in order for you to work with them, because honestly, you can try it. Like, you can do what I did. You can try it. But in the end, honestly, you'll realize that you won't get much out of it. Like, a lot of them will just, they're not committed in their head and because they didn't put anything into it. And so you're putting all this work in and they're not putting anything in. And so they're probably going to ghost you. So just try to get something out of them. So what I did like a $500 per month plus a couple $100 per sales call that I was getting for it. The next model you can do is a retainer model. Now, this one is a little tricky because sometimes you have inconsistent results for the clients. And so if they're paying you consistently $3,000 a month, and then this month they got 30 calls, but then next month they only get 10 calls, they're going to be mad because the next month they only got 10 calls and they paid the same price. And so it's a little tricky, but usually it can work. And when I'm doing a retainer model, I'm always giving a guarantee because, again, you want to remove risk as much as possible. And also, it's just ethical, right? It's just the right thing to do. So if I don't get you the results that you wanted, then why should you have to pay me for that, right? And so if someone, if you bought milk and then you bring it home and it was spoiled and they say, oh, we can't return it, it's your fault. That'd be wrong. So you want to make sure that you're delivering on the promises that you're giving to them. And sometimes you'll just have those clients that they want everything in the world. They don't want to do any work. And on top of that, they'll want a refund in the end. And so you will just have those clients. It's just going to be inevitable. So it's like the best thing to do for those clients, it's literally just give them a refund and move on so that you don't get them out of your head, because it's so annoying trying to manage the clients that they're sucking up your time in your life. And it would just be better just to give them a refund, even though you don't really want to give them a refund because you did all this work and all this stuff. Hey, just give them a refund and move on to the next guy. And the last offer, and this is what I do, is just a setup offer. So basically, you set up the campaigns for them, you give them access to the things that they need, you set up the copy, you get them a lead list, and then you just run the campaigns and hand it over to them. And so I do this because it's a lot easier than trying to manage 10 clients. I can easily get 10 clients for myself, right, and over the course of 2 weeks, But the problem is that when you have 10 clients, you have to manage 10 clients. And so you have this headache of every single day you wake up and you're like, okay, how's this client doing? How's that client doing? Where are they at? Where are these guys at? Are these guys mad? And so trying to manage expectations and having everybody on the same page is kind of hard. So I don't really like doing that anymore. So what I'll do is, as an example for you, if you're targeting pest control companies, basically you would reach out to pest control companies and say, hey, look, I'll set up the campaigns and then give you access to everything. And then all you got to do is click play on automations and it runs for you and you don't have to pay me ever again. And if it doesn't work, I'll give you all your money back. Plus you get to keep everything I gave you for free. That's my offer. And so basically you reach out to these pest control companies, you get them as clients, and all you got to do is that the pest control companies, they want more commercial pest control jobs. And you say, look, let's get a lead list. So you'll get a lead list of all the restaurants and the law firms and the warehouses in the local area and whatever city that they're in. You'll set up your campaigns, your email campaigns, your SMS campaigns, your voicemail campaigns, whatever you want to do. And then you will start the outreach. So you will create the copy and then use that lead list to automate, emails to all those people. And then you give it over to them. Anyone that replies, they have to manage. And then you just let it run for a couple months and they get to manage it and they get to do it. So that's kind of how I do it. That's what I like to do, just because it makes it like there's less work on my plate. I mean, I like setting it up. I might like making sure that my clients are getting results and everything. Usually it takes me about a couple weeks to make sure that it's up and running, and then a couple more weeks just to make sure that it's working properly. So sometimes, this campaign isn't working, it's not converting properly. Let me fix it. Let me change the copy in a little bit. Maybe get a different lead list to make sure that we have the right things up and running, and it's converting and it's actually getting clients for my client. And so that's kind of how I do it. And then they have access to everything. They get to implement it with their team or whoever they're working with, or if they're just a one-man band, they get to implement it themselves, and they know how to get clients consistently for themselves. And so that's why I like to do, and that's the model that I run. So I prefer, honestly, if I were you, I prefer either the first model or the third model. I probably would prefer the first model because you don't really get to my model unless you have experience. And so like I did it for a year, and I would do the appointment setting myself. So I would respond to all the messages. I would book like 40 calls a day for people, and I would just sit there. I remember I didn't have time to eat. I didn't have time to sleep. I was just sitting there, like people would respond. So I'd be like, are you free to chat tomorrow at 10 a.m.? All right, cool. And then I got to know like why people aren't responding to this one, or how to get people to respond to this one. I noticed that if you're doing a text message campaign, you only want to do yes or no statements or yes or no questions rather than trying to keep it open and broad, because people don't want to respond that way. And so I kind of got a lot of experience doing it, and so that's why I led into this, because I already have experience from this in the past. So if I were you, probably would start with the first model, get a couple $100s down, and then say, hey, we'll pay. You have to pay us $200 per call or $100 per call that you get, and if it's not a qualified call, then you don't have to pay anything. And so that would be the easiest to sell to the client, and that's what I would do if I were you. So once you have a consistent system that works for you to get clients, and it works for your clients to get clients, then you can just create a snowball effect. So you get a testimonial, you show that to the next guy and say, hey, look, we got this result for this client. And then they come on board, and then they get a testimonial, and then you show it to the next guy, and then it just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs, and then your authority kind of just builds from there. Now, in the beginning, you're going to feel like a fraud, and that's okay. Now, everybody has to start somewhere. So I feel bad for all the clients that I had a year ago. I feel bad for all the clients that I had a year before that. But it's just a part of the game. Like, you're always going to get better, and you're always going to be improving. And the best place to start is here right now. And so there's no better time to start than right now. So I would just try to learn as much as you can, but don't have analysis paralysis. So I think it's Gary Halbert quote, which is motion is better than meditation. And so if you're in motion actually doing something, you're going to get farther ahead rather than just trying to meditate on what should I do, how should I do it, let me watch another video on how to do this. You're going to get much farther ahead just actually doing it. So if you're trying to build a B2B agency, I'd like to help you. I'm going to help a couple of people over the next couple of months build out their own B2B lead gen agency. How it's going to work is I'm going to help you create the copy, going to help you find the audience that you want to reach out to so that you're in a blue ocean, like a wide market that'll be really easy for you to get clients, and then help you set up systems to send thousands of messages per day so you can easily get a ton of clients. Now, most people that I work with, they'll get about 2 to 10 clients within their first month of working with me, and so that's what you can expect. So if you're interested in getting 2 to 10 clients for a new B2B lead gen agency within the next couple months, you can let me know by booking a call with me below, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this helped you guys out. If you have any recommendations and videos for the future, just let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon.